This November, 5 states will have abortion, pro-life measures on the ballot: California, Kentucky, Michigan, Montana, and Vermont. Now, viewers and listeners in those states need to plan to go out and vote. And as I said, I'm here in Kentucky, where voters can put pro-life values into their state constitution by voting yes for life on amendment number 2. Join me now to discuss this is David Walls. He's the executive director of the Family Foundation here in the Bluegrass State. David, welcome to Washington Watch.
Tony, pleasure to be with you. Thank you for what FRC does. As you know, I got called into this movement, interning for the Family Research Council.
That's right. You were in D.C. being an intern about a dozen years ago.
Yeah, yes, sir. But excited to be here in Kentucky. Welcome to the Bluegrass State. We're excited to have you, and really for such a time as this.
Yeah.
We are, as you mentioned, one of the few states that has a profound privilege to vote to support a pro-life constitutional amendment on the ballot here in Kentucky on November. Kentucky is one of the states. We have a very pro-life legislature. We're a pro-life state. We have prohibited abortion with a ban on abortion that went into effect after Roe was overturned. And our 2 abortion clinics are no longer killing unborn children as we sit right now. But as we sit here, as we know, the pro-abortion side is trying to now do at the state level what they were thankfully finally unsuccessful in doing at the federal level, and they are arguing there's a secret hidden right to an abortion within the Constitution of our Commonwealth.
And Kentucky's not the only state that has that in play, and that's why legislators in advance of the Dobbs decision said, you know what, we need to make sure there are no loopholes here, that an activist judge can do what the Supreme Court did in 1973 and impose this on our state. And that's what this amendment's all about. It doesn't do anything other than say the legislature is the body, the elected representatives are the one that'll decide the policy.
Absolutely. What is known as Amendment number 2 here, the Yes for Life Amendment, really just says secures that there's no right to an abortion within the Kentucky Constitution, or very importantly, no right to taxpayer funding of abortion.
Because see, if a court, one judge makes that decision, that essentially eliminates the entire legislature from dealing with this issue in a way that would build consensus for the people of Kentucky.
Yeah, and we've already had that one judge. Since Roe has been overturned, the pro-abortion industry has run into state court and has a judge that has said there's a right to an abortion within the Kentucky Constitution. And just in the last few weeks, the Kentucky Supreme Court has announced they are going to hear this case, and they are going to hear this case 1 week after the election here. And so really it's a profound opportunity that we have here in the Commonwealth.
How can folks in Kentucky, and I know we've got a lot of listeners in Kentucky, how can they find out more about the Yes for Life Amendment?
Absolutely. You can go to our website at kentuckyfamily.org. We've got great pastor and church resources available right there on the front of the page. Folks can also go to yesforlifeky.com, and that's kind of the campaign website that we're a part of, a great pro-life alliance here, working almost every day in churches and communities across the Commonwealth, trying to get the word out. We just had a beautiful rally at our Kentucky Capitol this past weekend, and just had some great pastors from all across the state and others share powerful testimonies about why this is so important. You know, this really is a moment for the church here in Kentucky to stand up. This is a light versus darkness moment. We saw it play out at the Capitol, where our rally had protesters trying to disrupt things, so to speak. And so this is a profound moment. And I just want to encourage pastors here in Kentucky and across, as I have had the pleasure to go across the state and speak on this important issue. You know, we are in an important moment. And so just take a moment right now, wherever you are, and to say a prayer for your pastor. And if you have their phone number, if you've got an email, just reach out to them and say thank you for your leadership, and to just encourage them to speak the word of God on the full counsel of God on the issue of life. Really, here in Kentucky and in other states, so many of these votes are going to come down to whether the men of God proclaim His word and encourage the people of God to get out and vote righteousness on November 8th.
That's so right, David. And I think when you look at the amount of money the other side is putting into these campaigns, the media obviously pushing the leftist ideology, the church is critical. We need pastors preaching the word of God, and we need men and women of faith voting the values that are found in the word of God, and they won't even be an issue. So here's one thing I want to say to our listeners in Kentucky. Don't take anything for granted. Don't think that this is just going to pass because Kentucky is a conservative pro-life state, right? You've got to do your part. So make sure you're registered, make sure friends and family are registered, and make sure they turn out and vote for this. David Wells, thank you for joining us today. Great to see you, and you're doing a great job here in Kentucky.
Thank you, Tony.